The past couple of weeks, I've been spending a lot more time with my mom after her hip surgery. And if I'm being honest, it hit me pretty hard. She's always been very independent and still is. But seeing her needing help, moving much more slowly and in pain, it reminded me that she's aging and so am I. Midlife is a weird, busy, and deeply reflective time. At least it has been for me. We're navigating our own shifting hormones, sleep, emotions, and even our identity while supporting our parents, raising kids, managing careers, connecting with our partners, keeping a tidy home, and more. It's a lot. And this past month gave me some space to reflect on a lot. Over 10 years ago, I lost my dad to liver cirrhosis. He struggled with alcoholism for much of his life, and for a long time, I carried anger around it. But before he died, I made a choice to let it go, to forgive him. Not just for him necessarily, but for myself, because I knew holding on to that resentment, that anger, only weighed me down. And peace was a gift that I had to give to myself in order to heal. Now, with my mom, it's a little bit of a different story, but still layered. She's in her 70s. She's not somebody who really prioritizes her health in the way that I wish she would. She doesn't move her body regularly or really advocate for herself in the doctor's office, but she has made some shifts. She listens to me when I make suggestions based on her labs. She will take supplements that I recommend, and she has improved her diet, prioritizing protein and fiber, just like I tell you to do. But still, she's one of the millions of women who were impacted by the WHI study, the Women's Health Initiative, the one that scared an entire generation away from hormone therapy. I've talked about it in previous episodes, as well as the importance of considering hormone replenishment when the time is right for you. And it's why we educate and guide our clients throughout this process. My mom, probably like your mom, was never offered HRT. No one even told her it was an option. And now, like so many women her age, she's dealing with some of the long-term consequences of being dismissed and, quite frankly, undertreated. Some of the really common things that women her age are dealing with are bone loss. About 1 in 2 women over 50 will break a bone due to osteoporosis. And bone loss starts in perimenopause due to declining estrogen. Then there's cognitive decline. Women make up 2/3 of all Alzheimer's cases, and the drop in estrogen during midlife is a major risk factor for cognitive decline. Obesity. Nearly 45% of U.S. women aged 40 to 59 are classified as obese, often due to hormonal changes, metabolic shifts, and poor sleep and lifestyle habits. Joint pain. Over 50% of women report increased joint pain during perimenopause, likely due to inflammation and declining estrogen. Then, of course, there's poor sleep. An estimated 56% of perimenopausal women report sleep disturbances, and over 20% of women over 40 regularly use sleep aids. Then there's high blood pressure. Around 1 in 3 women over 40 have hypertension, a risk that rises quite sharply after estrogen levels drop. And of course, high cholesterol. After menopause, LDL cholesterol typically increases by 10 to 15%, increasing heart disease risk, the number one killer of women. It's really infuriating and heartbreaking at the same time. Watching my mom recover from this surgery made me realize how much I want to age differently. Not because I'm better than her, but because I know more and I have so much control. And I refuse to just sit back and watch my health deteriorate. Because I've seen what happens when we don't prioritize our health or when we're told that we don't have choices. Being in this midlife chapter, managing our own bodies while showing up for others, it is a profound responsibility, but also a wake-up call. One thing that my 40s have taught me is time is finite. And I don't want to waste mine on things that don't matter. I want to prioritize my health, my peace, and my joy. I want to live well for the second half of my life. I don't want to just survive. I want to thrive. Hey, if you're resonating with this podcast and realize that your symptoms are anything but normal, my comprehensive program, the Perimenopause Method, may be a great fit for you. My team and I help women in their mid-30s to early 50s improve symptoms such as fatigue, disrupted sleep, anxiety, erratic moods, bloating, and much more. We do this by utilizing advanced testing, a personalized plan tailored to you, women's health and hormones education, and ongoing support so you never feel alone and you get results. If you're ready to commit to your health and feel like yourself again, but even better, check out the link in the show notes to learn more about the Perimenopause Method. So getting back to my mom, I was sleeping at her place a few nights, alternating with my sister, who luckily lives nearby. And one morning I woke up, I checked on my mom, and just stood there for a minute. She was sound asleep, peaceful. Something about it caught me off guard. She almost looked childlike, and I got pretty choked up, definitely shed a few tears. And I started thinking about how hard I have been on her at times, how growing up, I used to resent her for staying with my dad, who was emotionally abusive alongside his drinking. He put us in harm's way many times, and I even remember asking my mom to divorce him when I was about 10 years old. But many years later, she told me the truth. She stayed because she was afraid that he would get partial custody, and she didn't want us in a car with him if he was drinking or something else. She stayed to protect us all day, every day. And that realization really changed everything for me. You know, it's funny how your perspective changes as you get older. The traits that used to frustrate me about my mom, I now see them in myself at times. What I once saw as her passiveness was really a desire for peace. What I once saw as her perfectionism was a way to create stillness in the chaos of our life. And what I once saw as her holding in emotions was actually her being really strong for us. You know, when we slow down, when we stop trying to fix everyone around us, when we simply sit with somebody that we love and see them clearly, we stop judging and we start understanding. So forgive when you can and cherish the people that you love, even when it feels complicated, because that really does change everything. Now, there's one more thing I want to share, and it's not the easiest to talk about, but it's important. Preparing for end of life. It's not a comfortable conversation. It's emotional. It can feel vulnerable and even heavy, but it's something that my sister and I recently did with my mom. We sat down, we hired a lawyer, and we got everything documented. Her will, her healthcare directives, access to her bank accounts and assets, what she wants, what she doesn't want, when that time eventually comes. And honestly, we didn't have any of that in place when our father died. It made the grieving process that much harder because we didn't know what to do. There was confusion, stress, and so many unanswered questions. You know, having these plans in place now, while my mom is still very much alive and mentally sharp, gives everyone peace of mind. And it lets us focus on living and being present with her now. And when the day comes, we'll be able to grieve instead of scramble. So if you're putting this off, I totally get it, but I can't recommend it enough. It's not about being morbid. It's about being prepared, because death is part of life, whether we like it or not, and clarity makes it a little less painful. So if you are in the messy middle, like I am, juggling perimenopause, caring for your parents, dedicated to your career or raising kids, and trying to support your partner while trying to stay sane in the process, I see you. You are not alone. But I do want to remind you that even though it feels hard, even though some days you may feel like you are drowning, your health is a top priority. You cannot support others if you are not taking care of you. You know, somebody on Instagram asked me recently how I'm juggling perimenopause while supporting my mom as her needs are changing. And I shared that I have daily non-negotiables. I take care of this body. I eat well. I move. I hydrate. I prioritize rest. I don't waste time on things that are not top priority, like scrolling social media or getting involved in other people's drama. I say no to things. I don't answer every text message, every email, or DM on Instagram. I protect my peace and I minimize the noise. I recommend you do the same. Thank you so much for listening. Please share this with somebody who will benefit from it, and I will see you next week. The information provided is for educational and informational purposes only. I am not, nor do I act as a doctor or any other medical professional. I am not providing healthcare, medical services, or attempting to diagnose, treat, prevent, or cure any physical, mental, or emotional disease or condition. The information shared is not intended to be a substitute for the professional medical advice provided by your own medical or mental health provider.